and your help, your conversation, your laughs, and your hugs have kept us strong during this time of grief. The void created by the death of someone as beloved as Larry is still hard to grasp. He was someone we took for granted and we figured he would be around for much longer, but it was not to be. It all happened way too fast. In fact, I often imagine him as an old codger doddering around his pepper patch in the garden. Yes, he had a passion for hot peppers and was constantly searching for new varieties that were so hot they could be used to script paint off the walls. He would come up to you with some dangerous-looking capsaicin-loaded pepper and say, "Try this one. Bet you can't handle this one. It's 50 million Scoville units." He loved to see people's reactions after they bit into one of these inferno-like peppers. Larry had a great sense of humor. He would get you with some nonsensical statements spoken with absolute seriousness, and then while your brain was reeling, trying to figure out what in the world he just meant, you'd see that little grin on his face, and hear him chuckle, and you knew he had you. He was also always handing out little goodies that he either made or found somewhere, like the lighters, buttons, stickers, or just some oddball knick-knack he thought that someone would appreciate. Larry was a collector. When we were going through his possessions the last few weeks, we were amazed at some of the stuff he had amassed over the last 20 years at our farm. Things like 167 screwdrivers, 28 hammers, endless tools of all types, 1,000 pencils, old bottles, and of course, a large collection of telephones. Larry missed his calling. He should have opened a store and called it Larry's Tool and Hot Pepper Emporium. And then there was the glitter he brought home one day. He brought home these giant bags of glitter he found in a warehouse somewhere. For 12 years, we used it at chair burning around this fire pit. There's still a little bit left right there. And then we found a big bucket of blue marbles. And there's a bowl over there with some of those blue marbles. And in honor of Larry, we had that big bowl full of them, and each one of you can have one to remember Larry's time on this big blue marble we call the planet Earth. I met Larry many, many, many years ago while volunteering for Folk Festival, and one of my fondest memories of him is when the grounds crew kidnapped him, and they were known as Lenny and Squiggy at the time, if some of you remember. And we tied them to a chair. We had a lot of fun. Larry was always up for fun and shenanigans and found many ways to make people smile. Larry the phone man was well known and loved in the Folk Fest family circle, and his heart and soul will always be a part of this special plot of land on this planet. This is the reason we are gathered here today to spread his ashes. There's a quote from George Santayana, the philosopher. When a man's life is over, it remains true that he was one sort of man and not another. A man who understands himself under the form of eternity, knows the quality that eternally belongs to him, and knows that he cannot wholly die, even if he would, for when the movement of his life is over, the truth of his life remains. People have to mourn and grieve in their own way, but what he wanted today was for his family and friends to celebrate his life, because he had no regrets. So I would ask everyone to take a minute to reflect on all the happy and joyful moments, the love, the laughter, and funny antics which Larry brought to all of our lives. Hold that in your heart and mind. For today, while in the company of each other, we will celebrate the memories and life of this most amazing man, Larry Ellery Miller. Now we are going to put his ashes in the fire pit. And for those of you who have never been here before, this is a very sacred spot in this plot of land. In the center of this fire pit, as you can see, you see some metal things, but there are other people's ashes in here. And this is, like I said, a very sacred spot. So this is where Larry is going to be. Part of him will go to our farm too. side here. Shrouded. Take the rest of that for our house. I need to do one more thing here. We always put something metal from someone who was passed. This is one of Larry's phone tools.
Well, cool.
Well, it helps hold wires up when you do
Or pull
phone
'em
work.
down.
Yeah, I don't know what's the name of this thing.
No idea either.
It's a wire holder upper.
Looks like it's from the movie.
Probably has like a long wooden handle that you can use to
Lay upstairs.
Yay!
That new one. Now, if you would all like to sing a verse of Amazing Grace with me.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Will the circle
Be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a river of awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Now I will invite people to come up here and tell stories about Larry. So come on up. Lois?
Oh, tongue-tied.
I know you wanted to say something.
I don't know what to say.
That's sweet. That's Squiggy.
I don't know if I can do this. I've known Larry about 30 years, which my wife Holly will tell you she knows Larry about 20 minutes more than I do. We were, it was probably in the mid-'80s, we were working. Went back to my trailer, Holly met Larry, then I had to run and go do something. I come back and they're like cooking chocolate chip cookies in the kitchen of the RV at the time. But I met Larry and we struck up a friendship which lasted outside of here. You know, I found some videos when I was going through some stuff. We took a couple trips to Key West. You know, those of you remember, like, I had a rash of police cars back in the early 80s. So Larry and I got in the police car and drove to Key West. Here's Larry. I was like the straight guy. We pull into like 7-Eleven, and I got a full radar gun on my dashboard. And I'm like looking the part. Here pulls in this cop from North Carolina, Georgia, wherever. Parks right next to my police car, and I'm getting coffee. Larry's sitting over here like this, and the cop's just eyeing Larry up. And the radar gun, the blue lights on the roof, because it's in the fire company. Nothing happened. Then we eventually get to Key West, and Lizard was there because he was working at Truman Navy Base, where we camped for a couple days, I think, in your RV. So we're driving down Main Street in Key West. You know, everybody's out looking at everybody, and Larry's sitting in the back seat like he was like the prisoner. We're yelling at each other, and all the windows are down, and people are looking at us. Then we put Larry in the front seat, and all the straight-looking guys sat in the back seat. And we like reversed that process a couple times. And even at Truman Navy Base, we're camped in Lizard's RV, and I just found this video. And Larry and I are sitting there talking for like an hour in front of the camera, but you know, you're on the Truman Navy base, which was the Navy base then, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, you would hear this clang, 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 all hands. And this boat would go out and come back in the morning towing another boat, which was a drug smuggler. And then in the morning, you'd see the Navy guy painting another marijuana leaf on the side of the Coast Guard cutter. Well, Larry and I were sitting there smoking pot, watching the whole thing. So it just kind of adds to that.
What's so
I know
funny?
Larry more than half of my life.
You probably won't remember when you're older.
If you ask me.
It's still not real. It probably won't be for a while. But we all have Larry with us to keep an eye on us. Both gave him our return pass. So he'll be back in some form or another in our hearts. But I'll miss him. Thanks.
Amen. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes?
Hi. I first met Larry 25 years ago. At that time, my wife and I had borrowed a friend's RV and we were camped in Thunderdome, back when Thunderdome was wood. And Lewis didn't own an RV then, so he was going to sleep on the couch in our RV. We were just hanging out there for a while, and I had to go to work at midnight Wednesday night until 8 in the morning in the med tent. And my wife was pregnant at the time, so she said, "I'm going to bed." And Lewis said, "I'm tired, I think I'll go to bed too." Well, Larry had been hanging out there with us for a while, and he took offense to that. He came back over here to grounds, gathered up a crew. They came back over to Thunderdome and wrapped that RV in black plastic.
That was so much fun.
Larry stopped over to the med tent where I was working. He says, "Jim, look, I just met you, but we had to do that." They weren't being respectful going to bed at midnight, you know. I got off work the next morning at 8 o'clock, got some coffee, camping, sat under Thunderdome. About 8:30, I hear this noise from inside. Damn, it's 8:30. Why is it still dark? So then finally figured out what was going on, and we had pictures of Lewis cutting the plastic to get the door open. And he's been my friend, my mentor. Like everybody else here, I won't miss that dude.
Amen.
Anybody else?
I gotta tell this one. Now, 20 years ago, I was making a Thanksgiving dinner, and I had my best girlfriend over, Leslie. And I'm like, "Larry, what are you doing? And why don't you come on over too?" Well, the rest is history, but, you know, there were some good days, and Larry was one of a kind, that's for sure. Definitely miss him. Love you. And sorry, everybody, I haven't been around much, but, you know, it's life.
Most of y'all don't know me. This is my first year at Fest. First person I met when I got here was Ellery. Well, needless to say, my name is Ken. But the second day I came up, it was Ken Craig, because nobody remembered my name. So from then on, the rest of the summer was all called Ken Craig. So as we worked through the summer, getting ready for Fest, I asked Larry, I says, how did you get your nickname? Now, how many people in here know how he got his nickname? Not me. Okay. Well, years ago, they had some chairs, and they were painting their names on the back of the chairs. Well, they had painted their names on the back of the chairs, but before they dried, somebody sat down in the chair and took the A away, and it was L. Ray. That is how he got his nickname.
We still have that chair, by the way.
Larry and the ninja suits. The black, white suits that he and a few of the other people who shall remain nameless wore to create all kinds of consternation. The ninja suits were key in them screwing Jaime's little desk thing. Oh, yes, Jaime's podium TV.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. It's Larry and Clyde, the cat.
Oh, yeah. Poor
Yes,
Clyde.
Larry was watching, because he was home from work for some reason that day, the morning news shows, and they used to bring, probably still do, cats, dogs who were up for adoption, and Clyde was a very striking looking cat. Clyde also had some quirks in his personality that had to be seen to be believed. But Larry was so concerned over Clyde that he basically called them on the phone and said, "Don't let them hurt the kitty! Don't let them hurt the kitty!" Got into his car, drove down, and adopted Clyde. That's how Clyde came into everyone's life. I am going to miss Larry for a long time. But this isn't an end. This is just a changing of state. Larry's always going to be here. I have no doubt that from time to time here at Fest, some of us are going to see Larry and then not see Larry. And someday, we are going to be somewhere else, in another state of energy, and we're all going to be standing around the fire pit, wondering what kind of hell we can raise tonight. See you later, Larry.
Don't lean on the string, okay?
This will be short and sweet. It had to be the day that we kidnapped Larry so many years ago. And it happened right over there.
Yep.
He was only restrained. And I forget which of the groundswomen it was on her hands and knees, somehow restraining his feet. But naturally, the woman's head was like right about here. And he said, "As long as you're down there."
Good and sweet.
My favorite Larry story was when grounds life and real life collided. I was about 15 or 20 years ago, I was at my OBGYN's office in Allentown.
Please don't tell me Larry was there.
I was waiting for the doctor's appointment and everything was, it was, nothing, not an ordinary day, nothing specifically wrong or worrying me or anything. And Larry walked out of the doctor's area and I yelled, "Oh fuck! It's Larry, the phone man!" And I grabbed him by the shoulders and I threw my legs around his waist and we hooted and hollered and swore and fussed and then I realized I wasn't at festival. And I thought, oh, well, I've already made this terrible mistake. I'll just keep going. So we had more fun talking and catching up with each other and everything.
Isn't she
And then
how
Larry
there's
had to get a
kids here?
tool from his bag, which was
I
in,
don't know.
in the reception area, and then he went back to work. As soon as he got back into the office area, they surrounded him and they said, "Did you know that woman? Why did you accost her?" And he said, "No, it's okay. She's my neighbor. It's okay." And sure enough, when I went to have my exam and then I came to pay, and when I was in the area where you pay, Larry showed up. And I said, "Yeah, in fact, he's my neighbor. It's okay. He comes in peace." When in fact, I was the one who was being awful, and I was the one who was being assaulted, and I was the one who was being profane. Poor Larry. He got blamed for accosting me. I'll never forget, it was hilarious, and we still laugh about it, years later.
Why was Larry at the vagina doctor?
He was working on the phone.
I didn't catch that part.
He was an intern.
Anybody else?
I've got more stories. I got one more.
Come on.
Only?
If I look back at the videos and I think about some of the stuff Larry's done on camera, when WrestleMania first came to Trump's in Atlantic City, a company I was working for at the time, we scanned a bunch of press credentials. So we went the first year, camera, everything. We weren't real media or anything, but they had beer and food in the press room, which was awesome. So we go. So the next year, Trump's down there, and I think Larry went with us, and Molly, and a couple other people didn't make it the first year. Larry and I took that one step farther, which is I kept getting press credentials for the wrestling events that were at the Spectrum. It was great. You show up at the gate, you got your camera gear, your bag, and over here they're like searching everybody's shit. Over here, we got a whole camera bag full of beer. There's no camera. There was a camera, but like we walked in, we must have done that 2 or 3 times. We're like, this is awesome. I mean, I was cut and paste, photocopy, making stationery for CCAM Productions, and we got credentials. It was awesome. Larry and I go into this last event, and we show up at the door, and the guy at the door is like, "We don't have any credentials for you, but you gotta wait." And we're looking at each other like, "Oh shit, they caught on," And no. So out comes this big, huge guy, bigger than me, and guy's got balding head, round purple glasses, and Larry keeps hitting me, and I have no idea what he's trying to tell me. But we're following this guy all the way to this back room. We walk in the back room, and Larry leans over. He's like, "That's Gorilla Monsoon." Which, if you followed wrestling when you were a kid, it was like, so we walk in this room, and here's this guy with long, stringy hair, really big nose. It was Chief Chase Strongbow. So Larry and I are in the presence of like 2 wrestling gods, and the guy says, "Here's your credentials. Sorry, we got here late, but we want to make sure that you got them." That was worth more than anything. Larry and I go up into the press box, and we're sitting there doing like stand-ups, which I've got to find because they were alcohol fueled. But and like downstairs under the Spectrum, if you've ever been down there, it's the big circle. Here's Hulk Hogan walking around. He's like doing all this, and Larry and I are just like, "This is awesome. It couldn't have been any better." No camera. I can't find this video, but it exists, and I will find it. So a lot of the videos that Larry and I worked on over the years, it just were spontaneous. But I'm gonna make sure that they make it to Facebook or somewhere. Some of the commercials you saw here that we did in the mid '80s were like when we had time to like, "Oh, we're not working anymore," and we go have fun, right? Now the work is fun. But
How much is the DVD going to be?
right. But there's a lot of lazy and Wild Bill commercials. Larry sold used cars in the parking lot, stand in somebody's truck and say, "Come on down." He had this guy's Jeep door, and he sat down on the ground, and the camera opened up, and there's Larry, and he rolls the window down to the door, and he stands up with the door and does this whole spiel about selling like car parts. If you saw the one on grounds, the Spotify one, there's a lot of them, and I keep finding more videotapes that don't have anything written on them, and they're like a gold mine when you find them. Plus a lot of photos. So There's a lot of memories, but that was just the story I thought of about the wrestling.
Now, Lois is only telling you these stories where the statute of limitations is running. Oh, yeah.
Spotty from over camping, bring it over here. So Larry got into Spotify, and I went over, picked it up with the loader, put it on a trailer, brought it over here, picked it up with the loader and dropped it off, and then Larry walked out the door.
Like nothing happened.
He's looking around like, where am I?
Really good at spontaneous laughter. And there are phrases that Larry said that we still, we'll still use forever too. We have some.
Safety brake?
Yeah.
Yep.
He created the safety brake, and when we were ripping wires out, it would be, you ripped out a wire when you didn't really care, you called it pitch ripping. It was a Larry phrase, so we still use that today. There's a lot of influence on a lot of it.
Anybody else? I know you guys have stories. Come on.
They don't want to incriminate. I told the safe one, right?
What about what?
I told the safe one, some.
Yeah, don't be shy. I know you guys have stories. By the way, there's some giveaway things on the table back there. There's the marbles, there's lighters. I forget what's back there now. But, yeah. Okay. Did you ever know Larry to walk into a restaurant and not like magnificently over tip? Oh, you do? I mean, beautifully. Beautifully. I would really think that there's probably not a waitress in this general area who did not absolutely love Larry. He's, yeah. I know the people down at the Wawa at Skipback liked him a lot. Yeah. He never treated anybody like they were furniture or, part of they were all people and that was good. For her run. Right?